Hello Internet, welcome to another Workbench video here on the Blue Model Railway channel. I did start the first video basically saying what I was going to do, sort of series of videos how to make a brass coach, especially this one as it's quite complicated. This is a Worsley Works kit, a 4mm kit. Of the London Brighton South Coast Railway Directors Saloon, which is about 60 foot long, or 61 foot at the ends, as they are bowed outwards. Last time I just sort of showed you the kit of what I was going to do, what parts were what. So far I have constructed the floor pan, as you can see, of the chassis. You can see there's absolutely nothing on it at all. I'm still waiting for various parts like battery boxes and a few other little bits and pieces like a dyno or the vacuum tanks as well. I've also got some I-beam as well, as there's two pieces of I-beam going across there and there, and I need the battery boxes to pretty much determine where those will go. You can see I've fitted the steps on the end here. The side pieces are laminated, so you've got a flat plain piece of brass behind it, and then one on front which has got some rivet detail on. The buffer beams are in place as well, as you can see there, and as I say, that is just a waiting game really of awaiting more parts. The parts I do have, we have some vacuum brake cylinders, you can see here. These are purchased from a website which I'll put on the end of the video, and these other ones came from markets. You can get those from markets as well directly. You've got some South Eastern Chatham buffers on here, which are similar to the ones on the coach. That's the closest I could find to what the coach actually has on it. And when I get around to it, some handles for the doors. Small detail piece. Don't really need them at the moment, but they're there when I need them. The other parts will come from hopefully the Southern Railway Group, which has quite a nice casting of some very similar battery boxes. So hopefully we'll get onto that at some point in the next month or two. But on this video I'm going to talk to you about tumble homes. Now if you don't know what a tumble home is, it's the lower part of the coach and it's where it curves inwards. And if I show you one I've already done, you can probably just about see on here it's curved. It's slightly overly curved on this one because I still need to bend it back out slightly. But you need to add a tumble home to some of these. If they're not like a garden shed, very early pre-grouping, very flat sides, flat ends, etc. This one has a tumble home from the bottom of the moulding, the middle of the moulding down here, down to the bottom. You can see that there. Now, how do I form that? Now, I've read the Comet way of doing it. Sadly, Comet no longer with us, and it's all sold by Wizard models now. And basically, I built my own little jig, which you can see here, which are these two bits of wood. If I turn it this way, you might be able to recognise what this is. The pine piece here is a piece of skirting board with a nice curved top edge. This one was purchased from B&Q for about £5.50, £5.50, and I had a bit of hardwood around which I keep from my old guitar making days, and I've cut that down to the same length. This is a bit longer than a coach end would be, and at each end there are some bolts with a washer underneath and a washer on the top and a wing nut, and there's one of these either side to clamp this top piece of wood down and keep the side flat. And when that is flat and locked in position, and you've positioned your coach side where you need it along the top and where you want to form the tumble home, you then use another piece of wood to roll it over. So this is usually clamped to a bench or in a vise, and the sides in there, hold it together and then roll it over, and that will form your tumble home. There is another way of doing this which I will also show you after this section, which is a simple way of doing it, but it does demand some practice and a little bit of patience, and I'll show you that just after this section. Okay, this is option 2 for forming a tumble home. Now this I sort of pinched off RM Web again, as I read quite a lot of topics on there. This method was done by Coachman, who's quite a well-known and prolific coach builder on there. He does some really nice builds and coaches, so I usually give credit where credit's due, so I pinched this off of him on one of the topics I've been reading. As you can see, I've already formed the tumble home on this side, but when I used my jig, which I showed you in the first part, it didn't quite form the curve that I wanted, so it needed an extra bit of persuasion. And what Coachman does is he uses a foot ruler, you can see in front of me here. This one's got a nice bit of cork on the back to protect the brass edge, and what he does, he sort of puts it just overlapping the end of the ruler with a bit of masking tape holding the coach side to the ruler and keeping it nice and straight. Then what you'll need is one of these. Now this is a brass craft knife made by Swan and Morton. I bought this one from the model shop in Sandown, called Upstairs Downstairs. You can find their website, thetrainshop.co.uk I think it is. I'll put the link down the bottom. And on this knife it has a curved end, which you can see here. And obviously, being safe, remove the knife or blade first. Using this end, you can basically hold it against the cutting mat and then just run it along there repeatedly to form the curve of the coach. Now it is a bit high up, I need to lower the side down, but you rest the bottom of the coach on the cutting mat, this down a little bit further, and just run the edge of the knife to form a nice curve. And after a few passes, which you can see on here I've already done, it forms quite a nice curve. So that's the second way of doing it, unless you have a rather expensive set of rollers at home which do some very nice tumble homes as well, or roofs or whatever. But that's the second option you can use to form a tumble home. And just to show you that the tumble home has formed quite nicely, use the end of the coach and just check it all matches up, which this one does quite nicely. And if you've gone a bit too far with the tumble home, you can just lay it flat and just push it down to make sure it relieves a little bit of the curve and it comes back to shape a little bit better. So that's how you form a tumble home, and on the next one I'll show you a few more bits and pieces that I've had delivered to build the coach, and hopefully we can finally properly get started, and then I can finally start writing it as well. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.